and Bowles. And then NFL gave him best dress at the draft. And he tweeted GQ magazine was like, sign me up. Oh fuck. That's what's going on. Can you hear that? Yeah, you can hear that? No, you can't
Hear what?
hear my phone.
I don't see a fucking snowball. Is that a fucking light on over there?
I'm afraid.
Yes, it's on. For some reason, it's not picking that some bitch up.
Who was Marcus Smith? The Eagles.
Yes, I'm happy.
In his defense, he tried to shake the dude's hand. He was like, man, shake my hand. I don't want to fight you. And this nigga was like, nah. He was standing there. And then he just swung at the dude while he was trying to shake his hand. And the dude had his hand out. He ducked back and then he walked.
I think that works. Please work.
Nothing.
Not yours don't work, but mine works.
Hello, can you hear me? Beans and coffee. No.
Nah.
Probably be on American Idol with that.
Keep hoping. Keep hoping.
Keep it alive.
I'm gonna try this one more again, and then I'm gonna just go with this. Shit. All right, fuck it.
I think you just put it right there and we just both talking to it. You just put it right there and we both were just talking to it. Let me see right there. Does he have this slide the couch? Couch slide? Yeah, you can slide.
All right, close that shit. Testing. Turn that bitch up.
We're gonna be able to hear Brian. Are you gonna be able to hear?
Yeah, I can just take this thing out well, maybe. All right, let me send you this thing.
Man, ask that nigga if he can get us on ESPN New Orleans. He be on that bitch.
What's his last name?
I don't know. Oh.
Oh. How you pronounce that? Benin?
Benny?
Benin? Is it Benin?
Benny. Penny pasta.
First let me turn on my camera. Let me just stare this nigga in the face.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Get a good interaction with each other. Beans and comment. Hello. You to fill that up. Ain't nothing in there.
Oh, the enemy.
He related to which Macaulay?
I wonder. What was that? Was it Eric?
Mm-hmm. Hey, that ain't Kenny. Who is that? That's Baron Davis. Oh, ass.
Is it?
Yeah. Is it? I can't tell. You look.
What you talking about?
Is that Baron Davis? On the TV screen right there, nigga.
No, that's Charles Barkley.
You such a fag. I know, nigga. That's Charles Barkley. You got jokes.
Hello? Yeah, let me pull up the draft shit. I hate when you ask for just like the draft guys and they give you like a whole fucking article on shit. Bitch, ask who they drafted.
You sleep with Lala?
Hmm?
You sleep with Lala?
Hmm?
You sleep with Lala?
Yeah, of course. I mean, she's like not as I'm not as into her as like she's not as bad as everybody make her out to be, but you know, she's still good. I'm trying to get her pregnant too. So I can get some of Carmelo money. God, even when you go on the fucking Saints site, they don't just give you a straight up list.
You fixed your AC problem in here?
I didn't do anything. I just messed with it until it stopped being cold.
You didn't change the thermostat?
Yeah, I changed it.
You put a
But
new one on?
no, I didn't. Oh, that's what you mean. No, I didn't change it like that. This nigga got a few more minutes.
Tweet that nigga.
I did. Let me see if it says I'm back. Alright.
What you gonna be doing when you get this old? What you gonna be doing when you get this old?
I'm jerking off.
I never used that emoji before.
No, when I get that old, I might just
Nah.
no. I'll probably stick around for a while, but I wouldn't give a fuck. I'd be breaking all kinds of laws. What they gonna do? By the time the court case,
You said I'll be breaking all kinds of laws. I go to my first here meeting on the 23rd.
what you got?
My officer, a PO.
What do you got to like?
I don't know. The lady just said,
Dude.
She didn't say. She was like, "We got a lot of stuff to go over. It's gonna be like an hour." I was like, "Oh, okay." I don't think I got pissed or nothing like that.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be like random drug tests. Who is these old ass niggas?
I have no idea. Is that Chuck?
Look at Charles Barkley.
That's not him. That's Kenny.
No, I'm talking about Charles Barkley was running. He got lapped.
Oh my god. Is that Shaq?
Yeah.
Wow.
Shaq did better than Charles. Charles like he ran out of gas about 50-yard line.
That's so terrible. Charles a lot of shape, man. How you be a pro athlete and be that far out of shape?
Shaq did better than that fool. He ain't respond.
No, I'm gonna text him one more time. If you don't respond, we just fucking do it ourselves.
Our history's made from the inside. Oh, you make yours. Now try Jim Beam apple. Pour it over ice and serve with club soda and a fresh lemon wedge.
Oh, he ain't been on in a while.
Ooh.
I just seen him. He had been on Twitter. He ain't been on Twitter in a while.
Well, he just. I sent him the invite. He should have it.
Ooh, I remember that movie. He Got Game.
Oh, with Ray Allen.
Hmm.
Said with Ray Allen.
And Denzel.
Mm-hmm.
He Got Game. Man, who the fuck are you?
So I'm gonna give him about 5-6 more minutes. If he doesn't respond, we can just record it. I can always,
Add him in.
yeah, like I can always just hook him up or hook it up and get on a call with him and then put it in afterwards.
Oh, that's that spirit in you. Come on out.
What is this?
This I don't believe in Jesus.
Get away from me. Get away from me. Get away. My father's already here. He's omnipresent. He's present.
Just leave me alone.
He's a present help in the time of trouble. You're distressed. I can call on Jesus. He answers prayer. He answers prayer. You leave me alone. You're getting closer to me. You're by my car, sweetie. You're by my car. You go and be great.
That's cool.
With your lavender. Go.
Wow.
Go back to
She said, "Don't boss me."
And I believe.
She said, "Don't boss
Go,
me."
sweetie. Get away. With your Jerry beans. Go.
Jerry Bean,
Go.
don't follow me.
Nobody's following you. You go. Go.
People are so stupid. This conversation would have ended a long time
Why
ago.
did I don't understand why she didn't just walk away?
She is walking away. She halfway down the street.
I was even talking to you. Oh my God. It's coming out of her. I can call my father Jesus. Jesus. How I love him and trust him. Sweetheart.
Why he messing with me?
There you go.
This is a walk. This is a walk. You hold on to God, his unchanging hand.
She flicked on the bird.
If I'm this day, I will never leave you, nor forsake you. He's here with you.
Is she screaming?
Yeah, she screamed.
Why?
Scream, Jesus! Jesus. That's it. Jesus! No name above that name. Every knee shall bow. That's all right. Keep on walking. Mary said it. Mary said it.
Is this in New Orleans?
I
You
have
gotta
no
walk. You
idea.
gotta walk. You gotta
Look like it's on 3rd Street. Yeah, that happened on 3rd Street, man. I had the wrong
That
corner.
was no 3rd Street name.
This-
I just don't understand. Why just walk away, lady? You ain't gotta stand there and take that shit.
You was walking over there screaming down the block. That's your people, man.
Like, damn, bitch, you just gotta have the last word.
Ooh. Wonder Woman. You gonna see Wonder Woman? Wonder Woman.
Nah. That's a stupid show.
It's a movie, nigga.
Oh.
You gonna see Get Out?
Oh, I saw that already. It's pretty good.
You gonna see the second one?
Oh, I didn't know they had a second one.
He made some kind of black superhero movie.
No, I'm not gonna see that.
Yeah.
Tired of niggas making up superheroes.
It's a black superhero.
He said it's not allowing him to contact me.
You gotta add him as a friend, don't you?
Maybe so. I don't.
Why you gonna do the other one you said?
What other one?
Didn't you say it was like Skype or something you could do it through?
Yeah, man. But Skype is like, trust me, that's a whole nother problem. Because you gotta get a plug-in for that shit, and it's and you gotta make the output the plug-in, and so you can probably do it. It's just I've done it before. It's just kind of
Nigga, you got the heat on.
It's only 74. It's not heat.
Nigga, I felt the heat coming out.
No, you didn't. Just relax.
Nigga got the heat on.
Just relax.
You trying to burn some calories, nigga? Sweat? Let's put you a trash bag on.
Let me see.
Let your nigga connect through Apple. Apple connect some shit. You ever used this shit before?
Why?
What you using? Let me go ahead and do my calculation while you bullshit.
What calculation you doing?
For work. I got that work. I got that work. I got that work.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, what's going on, man? Finally got it to work.
Man, we barely got this thing going. I don't know what was going on with Google, but
Yeah, it's all good.
we're here now. So I'm Jamal talking. This is Chris.
Hey, what's up, Chris?
Yeah, you in relation to Eric Bieniemy?
Yes, sir, I sure am.
All right, yeah, we played ball with him in high school.
Oh, that's what's up, man. Eric is old and fat now, so I don't think he's playing much ball.
Yeah, he was a corner back then, so I don't know.
Yeah, he can never play corner now.
Cool, man. Cool. It's a small world. Well, all right. Well, we'll just get started, and I'll just cut this other part out, like when I do the editing and all that. So,
All right, no problem.
I'm just start from the top and then introduce you, and then we'll go from there. All right.
All right, cool. Let me know if it's too far out of focus, guys. I'm driving right now, and I can't hold this phone too close to me without getting caught by this camera.
Oh, you good? Like all we need is the audio. We don't even need the video.
All right. All right, bet.
All right. So, all right, let me stop real quick. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Red Bean Sports Podcast, post NFL Draft edition. Chris, tell them what's up.
What's going on, everybody?
All right, we got a special guest in today, Brian Bieniemy, Brian TNR on Twitter. He's calling in to give us a little bit of his opinion on how the NFL draft went. So, Brian, what's up, man?
Nothing much, brother. How you doing, man? Shout out to you, Chris. Thanks for having me on, guys.
No problem anytime, man.
No problem, man. Thank you for coming on, man. I was happy you accepted. So what did you think? So I guess first you can give us your thoughts on the draft as a whole, and then any kind of prospects that you thought maybe this is your favorite, or a pick where you didn't like it, or whatever your opinion is.
I'm not going to say I didn't like the draft at all, man. I actually enjoyed it. It's probably been one of the most enjoyable drafts for me in quite some time. You know, it was pretty much exactly what I wanted it to be. It was pure chaos, and I loved it that way. You had 3 wide receivers go in the top 10 picks. I don't know when the last time that's even happened, especially for the teams that actually went wide receiver. Also, you had teams trading back up to get quarterbacks, which hasn't happened in a very long time as well, especially in the first round like that. So I definitely loved every bit of what happened with the draft. A lot of offensive guys that we thought were going to go later in the first round actually wound up going early in the first round. So the draft gave me everything that I wanted it to.
Cool, yeah. I thought the draft was like just beyond the Saints. Like you were saying, it was one of the more entertaining drafts, especially first round. One of the more entertaining drafts that I can remember in a while. Normally, nothing happens. You know, it's just people talking about trades and never happened. But yeah, I was shocked to see all those offensive players go early because all we ever heard about coming into this whole draft was how great the defensive players were and how the top, 15 of the top 20 were defensive guys. And then the NFL is just like, fuck all that. Like, we just we're just gonna do what we want to do. And then, but the most surprising part, and tell me what you think about this, because I was talking to Chris about this weekend. That dumb trade Ryan Pace made at number 2 to move up to number 1, where the Niners probably weren't going to take Trubisky anyway. I felt like, you know how everybody was complaining about the Saints always making them type of trade up moves where you give up a bunch of picks. I started thinking, was Ryan Pace, was he that guy? Was he the dude in the room that kept saying, just give all the picks up? We don't need those. We're using picks for.
It damn sure looked like it.
Like, because ever since he left, they stopped doing all that trash, and now he gives up 2/3 and I don't know. I think it was a 2/3 and a 6th or 7th or something to move up 1 spot, making John Lynch, who should have never been hired as GM, who never had a job in the NFL other than a player, making him look good. Anyway, I got other words for John Lynch.
Man, I tell you this, bro. It's crazy the way that trade went down, especially to move up 1 spot. The only thing I can say is that maybe John Lynch, being a former player, maybe couldn't keep his mouth closed. Maybe he called Chicago and said, hey, you know what, guys? Somebody's trying to get this pick for me right now. So it's either you make a move or I'm trading the pick to them, which made Chicago panic. Other than that, I can't see a reason in the world why Chicago would give up that much to move up 1 spot, and San Francisco was definitely going defense with that pick. So it definitely did remind you of those old Saints moves in which they give up 4 or 5 picks to move up a couple of spots and draft a guy who's probably not going to do much. I've never been sold on Mr. Trubisky, especially if you're talking about a guy with only 13 starts. I don't ever remember seeing a North Carolina game and was like, wow, Mr. Trubisky. And you gave up a pretty good ransom in order to get up 1 spot to get him. So Chicago better hope it's exactly, Mitch Trubisky is exactly what they hope he is, which is a franchise quarterback, because I think Ryan Pace just sealed his fate, and he'll probably be, more likely fired by next year.
Hey, man, if John Lynch did that, he is pretty damn smart, now that you say that. Because I was sitting there like, man, they gave up what?
Exactly.
Oh, man.
Yeah, John. And then, so let's just stay on the topic of John Lynch right now, because John Lynch ruined my day in other ways. Now I'll say this: I don't mind Ryan Ramczyk. Like, if it was really like the Saints say, where Ramczyk was by far the highest dude on their board, and he was projected as a mid-first rounder, by most people. So I think they're telling the truth there. But so I don't mind Ryan Ramczyk, and with the injuries that Armstead's had and Streif on his way out, I understand it's actually a need pick, but I wanted Reuben. Everybody wanted Reuben. Like everybody wanted Reuben Foster because it would have just been such a good dynamic to get him and Lattimore together. 2 of the top. Some people were saying 2 of the top 5 people in the draft, and just give the Saints another athletic defender until John Lynch, using Ryan Pace's picks, trades back and funds to get Foster. So, Brian, would you have preferred Foster to Ramczyk, or are you just cool with Ramczyk?
No, I'm actually cool with Ramczyk, but I can also understand why everybody wanted Reuben Foster. I mean, the thing that I don't like is when I see fans saying, well, the Saints should have traded up. Why trade up when Reuben Foster was basically about to, fall into your laps. In fact, you let Reuben Foster tell it. He had already spoken to the Saints, and they're like, hey, we're about to draft you. And then San Francisco calls him and says, nah, you're coming with us. So it was pretty much like, he got kidnapped. He was right there for the Saints. He's about to fall in their lap. They didn't have to trade any picks or move up. And all of a sudden, Reuben Foster's right there, and, John Lynch pulls that move, and he grabs him. But the thing is that when you get a guy like Ryan Ramczyk, again, like you said, it's not like it's not a need pick. Saints definitely needed a tackle. He was a very highly rated tackle, and the only thing I could think of is that why reach for a defensive end? And I think that's one of the problems that most fans have is that, well, you didn't get a defensive player or a pass rusher at 32 when you could have got one. Well, the problem is there weren't any pass rushers worth the 32nd pick. Yeah. I definitely think Ramczyk is worth that 32nd pick, and you have him for 5 years. You got 1 year Strief left, so even if you say he can't be Strief out this year, here's what you do have. 25, 25, 23, and 23. What am I talking about? Teron Armstead, 25. You've got Andres Pete being 23. You've got Larry Warford being 25, and now you've got Ramczyk being 23. That's what I call building an offensive line and keep number 9 standing straight for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a smart comment. And tell me what you think about this. I think the Saints, like what they did this offseason, and I'm kind of excited about it from an offensive perspective because they go out and sign Warford, who's one of the best run blockers in the league. They already have Unger, who really helped the offensive line last year, and they have Pete, who's now comfortable in that left guard, and hopefully Armstead's healthy this year. If the line stays healthy, and by the line I mean Teron Armstead, if they stay healthy, they have a chance to really do like some cowboy type shit where they can go out and just keep their terrible defense off the field by running the ball, controlling the clock, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, do you see the same thing I'm seeing, especially like with also signing Peterson? I know people have kind of talked about that with the Saints in the past, but it seems like this year they might actually be planning to do it.
Here's the thing. I don't disagree with anything you just said right there. They're definitely going to go to a more of a power game, but it's not going to be Dallas Cowboys, New York Giants, Pittsburgh, Baltimore. It's not going to be that type of offense still because as long as you have Drew Brees, Sean Payton is going to throw the ball. This is something we all understand. Offense now was that it goes back to that 2009 team, if you will, and I know I hate to bring that up because people always, look at like the compare and contrast, and that's the Super Bowl year, so it's a little bit hard to sell, but the Saints were the 6th best team in rushing because they had Bushrod, they had, Carl Nicks, they had Jonathan Goodwin in the middle, they also had Jari Evans and Zach Strief. That you pretty much recreated that type of offensive line. You've got Unger in the middle, you've got Pete and Armstead on the left side, barring health, of course. You've got Warford and Strief on the right side, or possibly Ramczyk, depending on how it plays out. But, I mean, you definitely have an offensive line that can play power football, but the biggest thing about the Saints is that they don't have to play power football early. The Saints were built to have a team that takes the lead early, keep the defense off the field, but make offenses one-dimensional. If the Saints are up on you, when they were good, when the Saints were up on you 10 or 12, 13 points, you weren't catching them. Because everybody in the building knew you had to throw the ball to catch up with them because the offense could score at any clip. That's what made the Saints dangerous, and I think that's what Sean Payton is trying to recreate. That's why you see a guy like Kamara being picked, and you see the Saints working on offensive guys. It's simply because when the Saints are deadly, their offense builds a big lead, they get to pin their ears back and play defense and play for turnover football. Definitely going to run the clock out, but that's always in the fourth quarter. We remember seeing Mike Bell come in and be the closer when the Saints were, exactly. When the Saints were good. Whoa. We're talking about, 09, 2010. That's when the Saints were at their best, when they built a big lead and they ran the clock out because they had that lead.
Really used to bring that thump.
Yeah, and he never did nothing else ever again in his career, but he had a good season that year. So I guess we can talk about the rest of the draft. So after the first round, they get Marcus Williams, who I really like Marcus Williams. Like, I liked him before the draft. I really thought the Saints were going to go with a pass rusher with the second round pick. I think everybody did, but when they didn't, he was a player who I wasn't mad that they got him when they did. Then Alvin Kamara, it's kind of weird trading a second round pick
But I kind of get it. If you really like him, and the way Loomis kind of sold it, he was like, well, we view him as our second round pick, getting our second round pick early, which I guess so, because they gave up that pick to move back into the third, which I actually prefer to them maybe giving away the 3 that they had and maybe only getting Kamara in the third round. So I actually think that was a decent move. And I got a little inside information on Alex I don't even know how you say his name. Alex Alazzoni, Florida. My cousin actually plays on that team, so he was telling me about this cat, and he was like, he can really, really, really play, but he's always hurt. So, he'll fit right in on our defense.
Saints right now pretty much lead the league in people that's applying for Medicaid and Medicare benefits, man.
Yeah, man, they definitely need the Affordable Care Act. And beyond that, the other guys I got were Troy Hendrickson, who apparently is he's a defensive end out of Florida Atlantic, but apparently he's like a hell of an athlete. Like I was looking at his stats. You wouldn't think that coming out of Florida Atlantic, but he has some of the best, physical stats in terms of 40 time, broad jump, all that stuff they measure at the combine. He was one of the top defensive ends and had good production too, but just came out of Florida Atlantic. And so, they might have a little sleeper there. And then they have the kid from Miami who, I don't know, he seemed like a headache. He's kind of like from what I read about him, he's got some off the field issues, nothing like criminal or anything, but he's been kicked off the team a couple times, stuff like that. So what did you think of the bottom of their draft?
You know what? For as much as, people may disagree with this, man, I actually don't mind them getting the guy from Miami. Muhammad is the last name. I can't pronounce the first. I think it's Al Queen or something like that, Muhammad. But I love his game simply because if you look at his measurables and the way he plays when he's on the field, and of course you did mention that, he was kicked off the team a couple of times. It was nothing major. But when you look at his game translates really well. And we all know Miami can produce some good defensive players.
Yeah.
But when it comes to his off-the-field things, he got into a fist fight. And, let's kind of be real about this. We all know people can antagonize football players when they want to get at them. Oh, you suck. You had a bad game. I'll knock your ass out. All kind of things like that. And you're looking at a dude that's 6'4", 255, and you're sitting there, chirping after you had a couple of drinks. I can understand why you might get popped in the mouth. As far as, the other thing, it's a rental car dealership. Let's come on. Let's all be honest. You're in college. You don't really have any money. You get a hookup on luxury rental cars. Nobody's turning that down.
I'm taking it.
Nah.
I'm taking it.
I mean, exactly. I mean, I don't even have to be in college right now. If somebody says, you know what, you get to drive this Bentley for a week or two, give it to me. So, I mean, I think a lot of it is overblown. And I think, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say, he doesn't have issues that are concerned because it's more of a maturity thing. But when I think about what exactly it is that he's done, I'm not sitting there shaking my head saying, you know what, that's not a guy we need on the team. I don't think it's that serious, especially when you consider he's a college kid doing this type of stuff. And I'm not trying to excuse anything that he's done, but I'm like, come on. I think some of the stuff that the NCAA does gets overblown a whole lot. You can't get certain, like, if a kid takes a suit from a sponsor to go to an event that Miami is throwing, he actually is an NCAA violator now, and I don't really think it makes sense. You can't work too many hours. You can't practice too many hours. You have to go to class a certain amount of hours, and yet still you want me to find a way to attend a banquet that I have no money to go to. I just think sometimes the NCAA needs to relax, and this is one of those issues where it was a rental car. It's not like somebody gave him the car, a brand new Ferrari because he had 3 sacks in the game. Just crazy. As far as Trey Hendrickson is concerned, man, I think Florida Atlantic, another one of those. He reminds me a lot of DeMarcus Ware when DeMarcus Ware came out because he came out of nowhere at like Appalachian State, Florida Atlantic, those type of schools, man. They can produce some athletes that could be sleepers. And now, other than that, you look at the rest of the draft picks. Of course, I'm like you. I like Marcus Williams a lot. He's going to play that ball hawk and free safety style of defense. And if you paid attention to anything the Saints have done this offseason, Sean Payton is not fooling me. Sean Payton is trying to recreate a formula that he believes works. What formula was that? In 2006, he started picking guys, and then he molded them into the 2009 team. It's the same situation all over again. Picking a ball hawk and free safety. That remind you guys of anybody? Had a ball hawk and free safety back in 2009. You're getting corners that are big physical guys that can play. Last time the Saints drafted a corner out of Ohio State, 2009. What number did he wear? Number 2. It just seems familiar to me.
Yeah, that's
So
actually
everything that the Saints are doing is just, it's the same type of thing they did in 2009. For 2009 offseason, what they do? They didn't sign big name free agents. They went and made a few moves here and there. Got him a linebacker here, made a trade here, just a few little moves, and all of a sudden, here you go. So I'm not saying they're going to go to the Super Bowl this year. I don't want anybody to get that confused when they listen to the podcast. But what I'm saying is that Sean Payton is trying to recreate something that he believes works, and I'm not mad at him for trying.
yeah, like I don't know, like with Sean though, I don't know. I guess that could lead us to a bigger conversation because this feels like, and this organization, I always try to tell people who aren't Saints fans, is like it's a different situation from basically any team in the league in terms of being accountable to the owner, because the owner probably hasn't known what's been going on for the last 3-4 years, and essentially, Peyton is there as long as his homeboy Mickey Loomis will allow him to be. And Loomis, same thing. Nobody's gonna fire Loomis, right? Loomis is in all kind of other businesses with Benson.
Agreed.
So they're not going anywhere. So it's a weird situation where, like, you'll see. I always hear national people talk about Sean Payton's on the hot seat. I'm like, maybe. I mean, eventually, yeah, he would get fired, but I'm not sure even if they had another 79 season. I know the fans would be ready, and maybe Sean might step down and try to go somewhere else, but the shine might be off him too much for him to even try that next year, So it's just a real interesting year, and I just kind of don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if you have any opinion on it.
I mean, no, you hit the nail on the head, man. I think way too many people outside of New Orleans like to get it confused on who exactly Sean Payton is and what he is. Sean Payton is the right hand to the right hand. If you're looking at T-Benz and you're saying he's the godfather, well, Dennis Lauscher is the man that runs the day-to-day operations. He loves Mickey Loomis. Mickey Loomis and Sean Payton are pretty much a team. By default, kind of like the GM. Mickey will have final say, but it's almost like, well, let me see if I can make it work. I always use this example. If Sean Payton wants a specific player, let's say Adrian Peterson, he'll tell Mickey, hey, Mickey, what do you think about Adrian Peterson? Mickey will then respond something like, let me see how the numbers work out. That's exactly how the Saints sign players, and that's how they pretty much go about drafting them. How can it work financially? That's Mickey's job. Sean's job is saying, this is who I want to coach. And that's why I don't think, Sean stepping down may be the only way he gets fired. I don't think he'll ever get fired. Mm-hmm. Now, as you alluded to, how much of a shine he's going to have on him, somebody is going to pay Sean Payton if he ever leaves the Saints. In fact, I think some people will fire their coaches in order to get Sean Payton if he leaves. I mean, let's be honest about this one part. Sean Payton won a Super Bowl with the Saints, the perennial losers of the NFL, and he took them and won a Super Bowl with them. So I think because he's done that, other teams will look at him and say, well, maybe he could do that for us. Maybe it's the Indianapolis Colts. Like, you know what? Maybe if we, give him Andrew Luck in the defense, maybe he can win. So somebody's going to come a call if Sean ever steps down. But I don't think he's going anywhere. The fact that Sean Payton is drafting guys to kind of fit what he wants to do lets me know he's thinking about staying around a couple of years, as well as keeping number 9 healthy. If Drew ever walks away, I think that's the day Sean leaves.
Yeah, I couldn't believe Sean was ever talking about leaving, because he was never ever gonna find another situation like this one where he's essentially, unless he has a falling out with somebody, is not gonna get fired. There is a point where they would fire him, obviously, if they went, won 3 games next year or something. But as long as it's somewhat respectable, which he's been able to at least keep him in the somewhat respectable column, then I don't think he's going to get fired. And so it's just one of them strange situations where I don't even understand why he was entertaining LA, because or any of these other teams. The first time it made sense, because I was like, oh, you're just trying to get you a raise, because he only had a year left on his contract, or maybe it was almost up.
Yeah.
And so that made perfect sense. I was like, okay, every coach tries to do that if he has the leverage. But yeah, then last year I was like, what are you even doing? You're gonna go to LA where they're gonna lose forever because they got that terrible quarterback, and they're gonna actually fire you. Although that's the only other team where I can say they've sort of accepted mediocrity as long, right? As it in LA.
Yeah, with Jeff Fisher being there.
So I have no idea how that happened. So maybe it was that. Maybe it's like, let me get to the next owner who don't care about. Well, I guess Benson cares. He's just old. That's all it is. But
Yeah, I wouldn't underestimate Mr. Benson when it comes to whether or not he understands winning and losing. Because I mean, even if people want to say he's having bouts of, I know the jokes are he's having bouts of Alzheimer's or he's senile at this point or whatever like that. Here's the thing:
heavyweight fights with Alzheimer's.
Every now and then, those people who have Alzheimer's and the people that are senile or whatever you want to call them, every now and again they have lucid moments. And they remember exactly what's going on. And I'm pretty sure on those days, T-Benz can actually look at the record. Wait, 3 straight 7 and 9s. When did this happen? So I'm pretty sure on those times, he kind of sends the message. That's why he's able to come out every now and again and, make a comment like, things got to change. I wouldn't be surprised if now that everything is wrapped up with the Saints. I wouldn't be surprised if you start to see heads roll on the other side with the Pelicans. But every now and then, T-Benz is going to have a moment to where he remembers who the hell he is. And that's when you'll see him, start to kind of fire up everybody and tell them, you know what, 7 and 9, 3 straight years is unacceptable. You better do something about it.
We've been waiting to hear something on the Pelicans forever.
Same here, man. Same here. I think the only thing that held up, everything with the Pelicans is because, let's be honest, man, everything going on with New Orleans is always going to be Saints first. Yeah. But it's not going to surprise me to see heads roll within the next month or so. They still got some time before I think June is the NBA draft. So they still got plenty of time before anything takes place.
Yeah, I think last time it made a change with Monty, it was actually even later than this. But yeah. But yeah, it is surprising but this is the reason why I kind of want Loomis to step aside on the Pelicans thing and hire an actual president of basketball operations, because it sometimes feels like, and I understand he can chew and walk and chew at the same time, and there's lots of people running multiple businesses, right? Those executive types, but at the same time, it's still always better to have a guy or female who's concentrating on the one job, not splitting between 2 and 3 jobs. Not when your job is to run a pro sports team. So that's what I really want to see. I would like to see like somebody like maybe Jeff Van Gundy come in and just be a team president and hire his own GM, something like that.
Don't get me wrong. I agree with you here, but let me just run it down to you. Mickey Loomis doesn't have a lot to do with the Pelicans. I know in name alone, it looks like it, vice president of operations or president of basketball. Mickey Loomis does nothing. Dell Demps runs that organization as far as, general manager capacity. And it's almost the same. Yeah, exactly. Mickey Loomis can fire Dell Demps. Let me not make any mistake about that. Let me be clear. Mickey Loomis can fire him at any time. And again, I think that's going to happen more sooner than later. But the idea of it all is that Mickey Loomis is basically the go-between. Dell Demps says, I'm thinking about trying to get Boogie Cousins. He brings it to Mickey Loomis. Mickey Loomis, I'm thinking about getting him. Mickey asks, how much is it going to cost? Oh, really? We can do that for that price? Okay, cool. Make it happen. That's pretty much what happens on that, because Mickey doesn't have the wherewithal to know. Now, mind you, Mickey might place a phone call or two. He might reach out to a guy like maybe Joe Dumars and say, hey, listen, Dell's thinking about doing this. What do you think about the move? And that way he has a sounding board. But I agree with you. I'd love to see Joe Dumars, Jeff Van Gundy, maybe somebody like that come in and take the reins as far as day-to-day operations. But that's not Mickey Loomis' job. I think Mickey Loomis may walk across the parking lot maybe once or twice a week just to find out what's going on. It's all Saints all the time. So don't get me wrong. I agree with you. The Pelicans need a guy to day-to-day operations. It has to be 24/7 basketball all the time. But I think Mickey gets a bad rap on exactly what it is that he does for the Pelicans, and it's really not a lot.
Yeah. And now it's interesting that you think that they are going to fire Dell, and I assume Gentry too if Dell's gone. But because I actually don't think that they're going to do it. I think Dell. I don't necessarily agree with this, but I think Dell bought himself some time with the Cousins trade. And obviously, if Dell stays, it doesn't make sense for Dell to leave. I mean, to stay and then Gentry leave, and let Dell sign a 3-year contract with some other coach that Benson's gonna have to pay. So I don't know. It feels like now I would love to see them move a different direction, assuming they actually hire a real, person. Right? It's always about who you hire, not necessarily who you fire. You can fire Dell Demps and hire Boo Boo the Clown, and it's not going to feel so good. So But yeah, I think they're gonna stay. Like, I don't think they're gonna do anything about it until after next year. I think they're gonna see how the Boogie thing plays out.
Here's why I feel like Dale may be fired. It's simply because when I look at the way the Pelicans are currently built, doesn't it seem like a team that Monty Williams should be coaching? It doesn't
Yeah,
seem like
man.
it fits Alvin Gentry. So that's why I think Dale has to go. And it's maybe he doesn't. You know, I could be totally wrong on this. My gut feeling says, you know, eventually he'll walk out the door. Maybe he bought himself some time with the trade. Maybe he did. But I just feel like Dale Demps is the master of a backwards roster. He built a roster for Alvin Gentry under Monty Williams, and he built a roster for Monty Williams under Alvin Gentry. It just seems like there's no plan in place. And I don't personally think Alvin Gentry can coach Boogie and AD. I think he's more of a guard-heavy type of guy. That's why you saw that the system in Golden State work so well, because he had so many guards that could help out. And as we see, anybody can coach Golden State and win 30 games.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes you question Gentry a little bit. I'm not saying he's a bad coach, but I just don't know if he's the right guy to lead this team. And I definitely don't believe Dale Demps is the right guy to be the GM. You give contracts to Omer Ashik. He can't play in the system. In fact, he's a waste of space there. You traded for Quincy Pondexter after you traded him away. You brought him back. He hasn't played, a single game in almost like 3 years now. You signed Eric Gordon because you didn't want to feel stupid about the Chris Paul trade. And I mean, it's just bad move after bad move after bad move. The only thing Dell seems to do well is finds those undrafted rookie free agent type things that like the diamonds in the rough type guys. When you find a guy like Jordan Crawford off the scrap heap, and he kind of comes in and balls out. That's the only thing it seems like Dell can do well. So, to kind of borrow a thing from the Saints, I mean, he can find undrafted free agents, but he can't draft anybody. And drafting AD, it was pretty much a no-brainer.
Yeah. Yeah, like, Dell, he's so confusing to me because the thing I understand about the Eric Gordon trade is any other GM in the league, I do understand that GMs, when they make a trade, especially when it's time for that player to get a new contract, they want to feel like, well, the trade we made was good, and so that's why we re-signed the guy. Like, that's what they wanted to look like.
Yes.
But the problem is, I didn't even think Dell had to do that. He didn't have to be forced into that because it wasn't even his trade. It was a league trade. That Stern had come in and hooked it all up. So nobody was gonna blame him if Gordon walked because it wasn't the player he wanted anyway. So he could have easily walked away from that, but it comes back to the point I made on the last podcast where I was talking about how Dell always doubles down on the mistake. And that's what I don't like about him. Like, I was talking to somebody at work the other day, and we were talking about Houston, the Texans, and I was saying how much I respected Houston's GM because they made that trade for Osweiler. They gave up the picks. They gave up all that money to him. And then in 1 year, when they saw what was going to happen, they didn't do what most franchises do, which is wait 4 or 5 years until the contract's up and then finally admit that it was a mistake. He bit the bullet. They was going to have to pay that money to Osweiler one way or the other. Didn't matter whether he was on the roster or not. So they paid him out the guaranteed money, traded him, had to give up some other picks just to get somebody to take him. But that's even though it's a mistake, that's the kind of mistake you want to see your GM make because he admits the mistake and then just moves on quickly. Like, fail quickly is what Bill Parcells used to always say. If you're going to make a mistake, make it quick, admit the mistake, and move on. Dale,
again, you nailed it.
Dale does not have that on his body.
I mean, that's like Holiday.
Yes, exactly like Holiday. And the main reason I want Dale fired is because I think he's going to try to re-sign Holiday to if not max, a near max deal. And that is going to that's going to hamstring them even more than they're already hamstrung with Ashik and Solomon Hill and all the rest of them. So, Dell, we need to hope he's out. The only reason he wasn't out last time was because, and this is what I always say, if you can get an elite coach to come in your team, you do it. Just like an elite player. If you have an elite player that wants to come, it really doesn't matter what's on your roster or what's going on. You just take him and you kind of figure it out. Well, last summer they had, or not last summer, but before they hired Gentry, they had Thibodeau and Jeff Van Gundy both wanting to come. Only reason they didn't come was because they want to be team president and hire their own GM. And he's not going to allow them Dell wasn't going to allow the team to do that. So, did we lose you for a second?
Man, sorry about that. I had a call come in and break us up, but we're all good now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I guess what I was saying was, I'll cut the rest of it out. But what I was saying was that, what was the last thing you heard?
I heard everything you were saying. So you can keep rolling with it.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's basically my main problem with Dell is that he doesn't know how to fail. You gotta, when you make a mistake now, also in the NBA, it's harder. It's not as easy to just give up a draft pick and get rid of somebody on a 4 or 5 year deal like the Texans did. So, but that's my problem with him. And you're not gonna get one of those elite coaches without Dell being gone, because they're gonna want to bring in their own GM and they're gonna want to be president of basketball operations. And Dell is standing in the way of that. So,
yeah, I think I think for this hire, I think the Pelicans need to get somebody, man, with some clout. Get somebody that has a name. Get a Jeff Van Gundy, somebody like that. Bring in somebody who, is gonna basically, instill confidence in your fan base and the organization. Period. That he knows what the hell he's doing. Because if not, you'll just be, making the same mistake over and over again, and it just doesn't make sense to do it that way.
Yeah, I just want a coach / GM / whatever personnel person who can get the meeting. Like, you don't have to always sign the player. I understand there's other teams that want guys, and most of the time you're not gonna get the guy you want. But at least you want somebody like a Van Gundy or somebody else, a Bird who's available now. I don't know if he would be interested at all, but somebody who big time players see, or even not even big time players, but just regular players see, and will actually give them the respect of giving them the meeting, whether or not they sign with him. So I don't think the players even know who Demps is. I think they think that he's like maybe an equipment guy or something. Like, how many bald heads black dudes are there walking around the NBA? Like, they just assume that he's some dude.
So, Brian, I got a question for you, man. How far off do you think the Pelicans are really off from competing in the West?
Man, that's a really, really good question, man. I'll be honest with you. I think when you say competing, it depends on what you mean by that. To be honest, right now they should be competing for at least the 8th seed in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You can blame it on health if you want to blame it on health, but I think it's just bottom line. The Pelicans they're poorly constructed, and the guys that they need to step up don't. I mean, I'll put it this way: if Drew Holiday doesn't miss like maybe the first 20 to 30 games of the season, I think maybe the Pelicans are fighting for a playoff spot. But I think once you have that take place, and then you add Boogie, and now everybody has to kind of get acclimated to playing with Boogie, I think this should have been a year that the Pelicans should have been competing for at least the 8th seed. I think they're about a year away, depending on who they bring in as coach, if they make any moves. And also, they need shooters. That's something they don't have.
Yeah,
you definitely need some shooters. You need to open up the floor for AD and Boogie to operate underneath, because they can play that two-man, high-low game all day long. But Drew Holiday is pretty much, for as good as he can be, he's a turnover machine. He'll get you 10 assists, but he'll give you also 8 turnovers. Yeah. So maybe he's better off playing off the ball. I just think that the Pelicans need to definitely fortify a few moves here and there. They don't even have to break the bank to do it, because you still have to re-sign Boogie. So just make a few moves. They should compete for the 8th spot at least next year. They should be competing for a top 4 spot 2 years from now, if they can re-sign Boogie and if they can get some shooters to help out.
You think they got any shot of getting like a Patty Mills or JJ Redick this offseason?
I think JJ Redick, considering that he's never made it out the first round of the playoffs, and if he has, it's only been once, I think JJ Redick might want to go to a contender, but why not New Orleans if they throw the money at him? Because you know what you're getting in AD and Boogie. You're going to get lots of open shots. So I could definitely see a guy like JJ Redick being on their radar. I don't know if they'll be able to pull it off, but I can see him being on the radar. I think another guy, the guy Chandler Parsons, I think, he may be available for Memphis. You may be able to swing that trade because he hasn't really done anything much for them. So I think they're going to go after shooters this offseason, but I don't really know how well they'll do in that area. Yeah. I'd start with JJ Redick and go from there.
Yeah, I mean, Chandler Parsons, I don't know, because he's been hurt so much, and the last thing they need is another injured player. But he is better than Solomon Hill when he's right. But he's not right.
So am I.
Yeah. Solomon, like, honestly though, that's my one. Like, if there's anywhere the Pelicans can improve, it would be like I would lock all my assistant coaches in the gym with him and be like, look, you're gonna hit this corner three, or you'll never see your wife again. I'm sorry. Like, I'm gonna need you to hit 40% of these. Yeah, because it's so frustrating watching. Because Boogie actually, one thing that surprised me, because I watched him, but not a whole lot in Sacramento. And but his passing really is what surprised me about him. Like he really is a good passer. And but he would pass these guys on the perimeter some games, and it would just be like terrible. You couldn't even you knew as soon as a dude caught it that it was gonna be a brick. And even the dudes who were supposed to be able to shoot, like Etuan Moore, who actually did have a good season, but it almost feels like sometimes they get into this mode where the whole team, like once Solomon is off to a terrible start, the team is like, all right, we know what time it is. It's time to suck tonight. This is the night we're gonna let Tim Frazier take 25 shots, and that's how we're gonna do it. So, yeah, I really don't know what the Pels are gonna do. And honestly, I think you're right that the roster doesn't fit into. But I don't know, man. Like if you bring in another coach, it really doesn't matter unless they fix the other thing you were talking about, which is the shooting. Because I was watching the Clippers. This is during the regular season. And DeAndre Jordan and Blake Griffin ran this little side pick and roll, and I just could imagine AD and Boogie doing that, but you really couldn't because they would just have all five guys in the lane, and AD would probably get stripped or something like that. So, if I'm them, I'm going after all shooters, whoever you can find. Honestly, we traded. I wish they could have kept Galloway. That really kind of hurt them. He was playing pretty well from down the line. I don't know, man. This team, if I had to guess on when they would be a contender, if they're a contender at all, I don't know, maybe 2 years from now. And that's if you make all the right moves.
Yeah, I got to agree with that, man. As far as Solomon Hill, man, I think the problem with Solomon Hill is between his ears. And it's simply somebody needs to explain to him, you're not a jump shooter, dude. Like as you said, lock him in there, let him learn one thing and one thing only. You learn to shoot the corner three. That's all we need you to
do. Did we lose you?
Solomon Hill is flashing and
Hello?
You on some good shit there.
Yeah, it was. I think we lost. He can probably come back in a second.
We're having a little technical difficulty, but we'll keep it going. I like Patty Mills. I don't think he's a great shooter. I just watched some of the playoffs. I mean, he stand out there and he can knock down open shots. That's all you really need, man, is to get people out of the lane. I mean, there was times I'd watch, Boogie penetrate, he was more of a point guard distributor than Holiday some games, but I mean, you kick it out to wide. I mean, they're so bad that the defense don't even close out. They're like, shoot it. You ain't gonna make it.
Yeah, that's exactly how it works. So, are you back, Brian?
Yeah, sorry about that, guys, man. I got to figure something out with this whole Hangouts thing because every time somebody calls, it's going to cut me clean out of it.
Yeah.
I have to put it on Do Not Disturb.
Yeah, we won't keep you too much longer. We're about to wrap up.
It's all good, brother.
But it's cool. I can edit all the gaps out, so it's fine.
All right, bet. Just to finish that point on Solomon Hill, man, he just needs to be a slasher. He'll be fine, man. I think that's the problem. If he could ever learn how to attack the basket, he'll be just fine. When he's doing that, he's okay.
Also, he needs a barber.
Oh, ASAP.
Yeah. I got a quick question for you, man. Saints fans want to know, do you think the Malcolm Butler deal is dead?
I don't think it's dead. But I'll say this. Malcolm Butler has a while. He hasn't reported to anything that the Patriots are doing. I don't think it's dead, but it may be on. It may be on a bad street, if you know what I'm saying. Like, he may not be popped just yet, but he in the projects right now. So it's not dead just yet, but it's close enough. I still think it could happen at any moment. Mickey Loomis didn't close the door on it when he was asked about it during the draft. Somebody asked him, about it, and he was like, "Well, we'll see." So I don't think it's dead just yet. It could still happen, but I don't know what the Saints will give up at this point. You give up a first-round pick, you're pretty much idiots because you already gave up a second round pick to get Kamara. So
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to give up a first round. And if you give up a third, that means you have a first and a fourth now. And I believe, didn't they give up a fourth already for next year? Could have
Yeah.
been. I mean, it's a little bit weird if you're going to give away all your draft picks. But I mean, if the Saints are going all in because number 9 is climbing up in age, then who cares about draft picks? Because he's not, the person that you need to pull the trigger won't be there.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with Malcolm Butler, like I always thought that they were going to make a deal after the draft. Like I didn't think they were going to give up a pick this time because it just seemed too stupid to like, oh, we're going to trade Cooks for a first and a third and then trade the first back for it. That's stupid. So I always thought they were going to do the second round pick in the following draft, but then they, like you said, traded that pick. And then I started thinking, well, maybe it really is dead because, I mean, what else are you going to give up? You don't want to give up a first. You don't want to give up a third. So maybe a fifth or a sixth. But then the Patriots are like, the only way I could see it really happening is if the Patriots, which they never do, but if they were to sort of give in to the player demands. Because if you think about Malcolm Butler, the dude came in undrafted, played his way into the starting lineup, obviously made the big plays in the Super Bowl, but also, made an all-pro team, which is, unheard of for an undrafted dude. And then he has to sit there and watch them sign Stephen Gilmore, who's won absolutely nothing in Buffalo for the last 4 years. They got to watch him sign up whatever that contract was, $70-80 million. And he's got to play on this little BS restricted free agent tender for like $2-3 million, whatever it is. Like, he's not going to be in a good place mentally. And he's going to be pushing for a trade. Now, we know the Patriots kind of don't, they don't give a about how the player feels. But that's the only thing that I see about it is that, and not only with Malcolm Butler, but also in your own locker room, like the guys on the team also see that, like, oh, so he played all this time. Then you paid this other dude, force him to play on this tender for nothing by NFL standards. And then next year he's just gonna walk because he's gonna be so upset. But so that's the only reason I could see them doing it is if they think, all right, this isn't a good look for us. But the Patriots don't care about players like that. So
no, but I will say this: if the Saints make that move, I could definitely see them doing something like maybe trading a guy like a Stephon Anthony plus a third round pick to get Malcolm Butler.
Yeah.
Like that taking place, as well as let's keep in mind the Patriots traded Jamie Collins and Chandler Jones for like second and third round picks, so it's not like they're above doing it. I just think from a Saints standpoint, does it make sense to give up your third round pick next year and you already are out of a second? Now, if they feel like Malcolm Butler is worth it, and you're going to pay him $50 million according to what the reports are saying, then, I mean, you better damn well be sure Malcolm Butler's about to lock down one side of the field because we already know that bro has injury history. P.J. Williams, he's been drafted. This will be his third year. He's only played one game, one full game in his career. Delvin Breaux, for as good as he's been, has never played a full season. So now, last year you had to count on guys like, B.W. Webb, Sterling Moore, and Ken Crowley. So I think if the Saints are going to go, after Malcolm Butler, you better damn well be sure you know what you're getting when you get him, because if he goes down and you've already invested that much money and a third round pick, you're going to look kind of bad, especially when, the only thing people will tell you is that P.J. Williams has a lot of talent. Delvin Breaux has a lot of talent. They just need to be healthy. We're about to find out.
Yeah, they I can't believe the luck they've had with corners in terms of not just injuries, but like these concussions where even if P.J. Williams comes back and plays well, even though he's a third-year rookie basically, but even if he comes back and plays well, if he gets another concussion, when you've had serious concussions like that, this is not just a sit out next week and then come back. If he gets another concussion, which is obviously easy to do in football, he might miss the rest of the season.
Agreed.
Same with Swan, who might not even make it out of training camp. So, even though they helped themselves with Lattimore and, they got Breaux, they really are right back where they started if they get an injury. If they get an injury in camp or even at any point in the season, they're right back to Sterling Moore starting or Ken Crawley or whoever. They just got to hope that maybe Ken Crawley with the extra year of experience is better or whatever. I don't know. But they really will be right back where they started.
That's why I think the Malcolm Butler deal isn't dead for all of the reasons you just laid out. P.J. Williams, God bless him, but Sean Payton said it himself. One of the worst concussions he's ever seen in life. There was a defibrillator on the field when P.J. Williams got hit with that concussion against in the second game of the season. So anytime they pull out a defibrillator, it was pretty serious. Yeah. Damian Swan has had too many concussions for me to even think this dude plays. To be honest with you, I think he should call it quits. That's just a personal opinion of mine. I don't want to see him, take another concussion and all of a sudden that just be the one that, does him in. Or later on in life you find out he has like CTE or something like that because he suffered too many concussions and, he wouldn't save himself from himself. So I think that's why the Butler deal isn't done. Sterling Moore is going to be a, decent nickel, corner, possibly a spot starter. They're really high on this guy, Jimmy Pruitt, who was an undrafted free agent that played, that they're trying to build up. I can't see them counting on Jimmy Pruitt, Ken Crawley, and Devontae Harris if something happens. So am I saying the Butler deal would definitely go down? No, but I'm just like you. I never thought it was going to go down prior to. I always thought it'd be after the draft.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because the Saints. I was shocked that they didn't sign a corner at some point, and I understand like the corners you want are all way too expensive, and then the corners that the rest of them are the corners you don't really want. So
there's only two guys on the market right now. If you're looking for corner, only two guys. I mean, I think you're not going to sign a guy like Darrelle Revis because I don't think he can play corner anymore. He's a safety, but the only two corners that are on the market now are Tracy Porter and Alteron Werner. Tracy Porter. You're getting with that when he played. He played healthy last year, but played pretty well. But you never know, he could revert back to being the same injury-prone guy he was before. And Alteron Werner, maybe he was in a bad system in Tampa. Maybe he can come in and get more to that press man style that he likes to play. But when he was in Tampa, he was god awful. Those are the only two corners that are realistically you can sign right now.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly could see them bringing back Tracy Porter because there's nothing the Saints like more than a family reunion. Like they love bringing old folks back, no matter who they are.
Yes, indeed.
So I could see them doing that. And honestly, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I'm not in love with Tracy Porter as a corner, at least not at this point. But at the same time, I'm more in love with him than I am Ken Crawley, if something happens. So yeah. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do because as much as they have done to help their secondary, it's real shaky if anybody gets hurt. If one dude goes down amongst the starters, like except maybe safety, where they always seem to have 12 of them. But other than corner or now the one thing they did do at linebacker, which I wish they could have done at corner, but I understand why they couldn't, was they signed a bunch of bodies basically. They got Te'o, they got the kid from Carolina, all that. So now they're in a position where if one dude goes down, they're going to be fine. They still got what's his name, Curtis Robinson, who played pretty well last year. Craig Robinson, that's what it is. So, and the defensive line is actually looking kind of deep now. We got to see what these rookies do in terms of who's going to play on the other end and how Kikaha is going to come back. But the defensive line with Rank, Fairley, Yamada, Tyler Davidson, Cam Jordan, and then we'll see what these young boys do. But so everywhere really does on the defense does have better depth than last year, except the secondary really. So it's just you just got to hope that Bro and Lattimore stay healthy. If that happens, they got a chance to be a surprise team this year.
Absolutely, man. I mean, let's just look at it this way: the Saints, the entire year last year for 2016, did not play a single game. Finish a single game with the starting lineup that they wanted to try out, coming out of training camp. The first game of the season, you lose Delvin Breaux. The second game of the season, you lose P.J. Williams. So they've never played a game with their starting corners, like a full game with their starting corners. So it'd be good to say that you can try to kind of bank on health and just say, well, if they're healthy, they'll be a lot better. Because let's look at the Oakland game, for example, from last year. The Saints had a 22-point lead on Oakland until Delvin Breaux gets hurt.
Yeah.
All of a sudden now, boom, 22 points later, Oakland is going up for the 2-point conversion and winning a game in which they should have actually lost. That could be that was a clear difference. You look at a guy like Ken Crawley in the New York Giants game. He was a fingertip away from being able to make a play. I mean, and he's an undrafted free agent rookie trying to stick with Victor Cruz, and he's a fingertip away from the Saints. That's 2 games you should have won. So, I mean, you just look at those plays, and you're like, well, maybe if a healthy P.J. Williams is there, or maybe if that's a healthy, Delvin Breaux, Saints win those games. So I mean, it's easy to sit down if you're the Saints and kind of just poke your chest out a little bit, like, you know what? If we can just keep these guys healthy, it's a big difference. I honestly think being on airline could be a big difference between that.
Yeah, that's very true. So I guess we'll see, man. But I appreciate you. You actually gave us an and one. We only expected you to give us a draft, but you gave us Pels. You gave us Saints free agency. You gave us behind the scenes in the front office. So we appreciate it, man. You were as advertised.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you guys for having me on. It's always a pleasure to talk sports with good people, man. So just anytime you need me, give me a call, give me a shout, and hopefully I can clear up these hangout issues, man, and we'll be able to rock and roll a lot smoother next time.
Cool, man. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you next time.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a good one, brother. Salute.